How did this ancient Chinese invention detect earthquakes centuries before the state-of-the-art technology of today? In 132 AD, a famous scholar from the Han Dynasty called Zhang invented the world's first earthquake detector, a device that could detect earthquakes hundreds of miles away and even point out in what direction. It was truly ahead of its time regarding the present-day seismology knowledge, and its design and mechanics continue to intrigue scholars to this day. What made this invention great for its time, and why did it fail to develop other technologies around that same time frame? Let's look closer at Zhang's seismoscope and its importance in ancient China. Zhang was known as the master of various fields: astronomy, mathematics, engineering, and literature. A child of the Han Dynasty, the time of great scientific and cultural achievements, Zhang's innovative inventions left imprints in Chinese history. Among these inventions was the earthquake detector. How very useful it would have been to have some means of detecting earthquakes in a vast empire without someone experiencing the earthquake firsthand. For the ancient Chinese, earthquakes were not simply natural disasters. They were, at times, manifestations of disturbances in nature, but perhaps a warning of growing political instability or heaven's displeasure. The earlier the earthquake could be detected, the more important this would become to civil defense and military planning. Now, how exactly did Zhang's seismoscope work? The instrument was a large bronze vessel, about the size of a barrel, with intricate designs. Around the sides of the vessel were placed 8 dragon heads, each of which was carrying a bronze ball in its mouth. Under each dragon sat a toad with mouth agape. These dragons and toads weren't just decorations, they had a purpose. They were placed to point at the 8 main directions: north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. Inside the container was a swinging pendulum that would respond to the seismic waves from the earthquake. When the ground shook, the pendulum would move and would trigger a mechanism inside to send one of the balls into the waiting toad below. The direction in which the dragon dropped the ball was how they determined where the earthquake came from. This design was simple, but highly effective. The pendulum inside was sensitive to ground motion, and when seismic activity occurred, it would activate a lever system that released the ball. When a ball fell from one of the dragons, it told them the direction of the earthquake's origin, giving important information on where the earthquake had struck. The discovery of this early warning allowed the Han Dynasty to send aid and prepare for potential aftershocks or damage. Of course, this invention was remarkable for its ability to detect earthquakes from great distances, sometimes hundreds of miles away, and even so, when no one in the immediate area felt any tremors. The most famous account from then to this day of the accuracy of the seismoscope took place shortly after its invention. A ball dropped from one of the dragons of the capital city of Luoyang, but no one in the city felt an earthquake. Skepticism soon spread, but days later, a messenger arrived telling of a major earthquake that struck Longxi, some 400 miles further in the direction indicated by the earthquake detector. This event silenced the doubters, proving the device's ability to detect distant earthquakes, which Zhang had been praised for, solidifying his reputation as a brilliant inventor. While Zhang's seismoscope was a technical wonder of its time, it was never fully utilized. Several factors helped bring this about. First, when the great inventor Zhang passed away, knowledge of its inner workings disappeared. There were no detailed records or diagrams of how the device was constructed, and subsequent generations failed to reproduce it. Additionally, the political and social conditions of the time did not foster continued innovation in this area. The Han Dynasty, though advanced, was more focused on farming and military technology, which had immediate practical benefits. While useful for disaster management, the earthquake detector did not directly improve the daily lives of most citizens or the functioning of the empire, which may explain why it wasn't further developed. For example, the seismoscope could not predict an earthquake, for it could only detect the earthquakes as they occurred. It could show the direction of the earthquake, but it couldn't tell how strong it was. Thus, although it came ahead of its age, the seismoscope wasn't nearly as influential as other Han inventions were. The iron plough changed the standardized methods of agriculture, while the chain pump increased productivity and improved the levels of the empire. Loss of technical knowledge surrounding the seismoscope is an integral part of its mystery. Although the original device was lost, historians and engineers have pieced together descriptions of it from ancient texts. These efforts have led to several modern reconstructions, but no one is exactly sure how Heng's version worked. The most common hypothesis is that the device worked off the principle of inertia, whereby the internal pendulum would remain motionless while the ground underneath it moved, thus activating the ball's release. In 2005, a group of Chinese scientists built a working version of Heng's earthquake detector. Their model featured a pivoting pendulum that, displaced by seismic waves, pushed the central ball along a track, finally triggering the outer dragon's mechanism. This model proved that the basic concept behind Heng's device could work, but it's impossible to tell whether the original seismoscope worked precisely the same way. However, such a reconstruction from the modern era proved that the old Chinese people had an astonishing knowledge of earthquakes. Heng's seismoscope is one of the rarest examples in history. In addition to its role in the early earthquake detection system, it also represents a success of intellectual achievement in ancient China. The Han Dynasty was an era when scholars such as Heng strived to know the natural world through scientific study and philosophical contemplation. The device also represents the well-rounded approach of ancient Chinese science, where practical engineering was often intertwined with symbolic and artistic elements. The dragon and toad motifs on the seismoscope weren't just functional. Rather, they represented a more comprehensive Chinese belief about the cosmos and the balance between natural forces. Why didn't Heng's invention mark further technological changes in seismic detection during his time? This could be because the invention, although innovative, did not immediately contribute to the empire's direct needs, which included efficient agriculture or military prowess. Another reason could be the lack of a scientific system to support further experimentation and improvement of the device. Without successors continuing his work, the seismoscope remained a remarkable but isolated accomplishment. Today, Heng's invention actually represents the precursor to modern seismographs. It actually works based on the same principle of detecting ground motion to record and analyze an earthquake. Of course, modern seismographs are much more advanced, applying digital technology to measure not just the direction of an earthquake, but also its magnitude, depth, and intensity. But basically, the same principle remains, detecting seismic waves using the movement of an object suspended in place. In conclusion, Heng's seismoscope is a revolutionary invention that shows the advanced scientific understanding during the Han Dynasty. Although it did not lead to direct technological developments at the time, it was instrumental in future developments in earthquake detection. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of Heng's earthquake detector, please like, share, and subscribe to help others discover this great content. And in the comments, let us know what other ancient inventions you'd like to learn more about.